So, welcome to my new playlist, which is called Base Programming. And in this first video, we will set up our machine that we will use later on. And as you can see, this first video will be a basic ArchLinux installation with some basic configuration. And yeah, that machine will be used for programming later on. So as you can see, I have a BIOS machine. You probably have an EFI machine, or however it is called. So some steps may vary, but I will link the guide that I am following, the official Arch installation guide, in the description, and you can follow that. And for a basic BIOS system, you can follow this video one-to-one. Yeah, but I will also say which steps are different. So yeah, let's get started. Let's boot into this. So, as we can see, we have a basic console now. And first of all, we need to identify our disk that we want to partition. In my case, this will be the SDA drive, but if you don't have an American keyboard, then you can change your keyboard layout with load keys. And in my case, I have a German keyboard layout, so I use load keys DE to load that. Now let's get started partitioning. And as we can see, I already have a basic partition table, but I want to create a new one, as you would as well. And this one would differ if you have an EFI system, where you would basically create different partitions than me. And you can look that up in the installation manual of Arch. But in my case, I just need two partitions, which are two. I'm sorry, this one wasn't intended, I slipped there. So let's delete a partition. The partition 1 has been deleted. So what I wanted to say is that we want to create two partitions in my case, one swap partition and one root file system partition, and let's do that again. Default is 1, yes, that's fine, but now don't press enter, but choose the size of the swap, and that should be fine, 2 GB. And now we need to change the type, and it's 19 for swap. Then we want to create another partition for our root file system. That should take the rest of the space. Oh, 1 second, let's delete that one again. Because we want to create also another partition for our bootloader that is needed for our bootloader. So let's create a second partition, and let's give it also 2 GB, which should be more than plenty. And we need to change that type also. And this one should be a BIOS boot, which is 4. Now let's create another one, which is our last one for our root system. And that is our Linux file system, that is fine. So let's write it and exit. Then we need to create file systems which should be x4 for our root file system, which we have put on SDA3, and our swap is on div SDA1, and that should be already it. Then next we want to check if we have internet connectivity. So let's see. Let's see this one. And as we can see, we have an Ethernet connection. Let's see if we also have connection, and yes, we do. So we can continue. If you have a wireless connection, you might want to establish one first, and that might be possible with the command iwctl, but that's also documented in the Arch wiki. Next we want to update our package list. So with that done, we now want to mount our devices that our partitions that we have just created. That is our root partition. And we want to also create a swap. We want to also enable the swap, which was our SDA1. So with that done, we can run pacstrap. There we specify where our new root partition is. Then we want to have the base system, we want to have our Linux kernel. We can also specify another kernel, but like Linux Libre package or something, but that's not what I want. I just want to have it working basically. But if you care about that, then of course go ahead. And we also want to have a basic text editor, and we will use i3wm in this series anyways, so let's just install that one. Target not found. Linux of course not. That should be Linux firmware. I'm just not that concentrated right now. So that should take us a little while. So with that done, we can now generate an f-step file. Like that for me, and it looks like it has worked. Now we can actually change into our hard drive, so we change the root from our installation medium to to our actually mounted device where we have our new root partition, and that also works. So if we see right here, we have our basic system set up. Let's see if there's anything in home, but there's not. So that we will do later on to set up a new user. Now what's left to do is set up a time zone. Okay, that is fine. Then we set time zone should still work, right? Okay, that is not good, but that's not a problem. Let's see. We can also manually set it by creating a link, a soft link to our time zone, which is Europe and then Berlin, and we place that information, that link in etc local time. So every time local time gets checked out by the system, it will actually find the information for Berlin. Then we need to edit our locals, which can be found here, and we want to have the ENUS locals with UTF-8, which is the first one. Then we can generate our locals. Okay. Then what we need to do is to set our language variable in localconf. We just enter lang equals what we've generated, just to verify, because that isn't fully on screen. Like, should be like that. Then we have to set our key map, which is located in etc console. Hello. Autocomplete isn't working, so I have mistyped something, probably. etc or the file just doesn't exist yet, which is also possible. And just to confirm, so I have set the German keyboard, then let's regenerate that. Okay, Now we also want to change the root password. Sorry, mistyped that, passwd. So, password updated successfully. Then, let's see what is left to do. We want to install our bootloader, which should be grub. So we have to get that one also. Pacman grub. Yes, we want to install it. Then we want to, so this also would vary on a non-BIOS system, on a EFI system. There you would have to look it up in the Arch wiki. Now I will show it for my BIOS system, where I will just install it on the SDA hard drive, which has worked, it seems. And then we can generate a configuration file. And if that has worked, then this should also work. Adding boot menu for UFI settings. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but let's see. We will see if it boots or not. What we really want to have is sudo, so let's install that also. Do sudo, and we will also want to set up a new user. See, okay. Want to change the password. Okay. So what else should we do? We should also modify our host name, right? That is under etc host name. There's nothing in there yet, so Box. And what else there is to do? I'm really curious if it reboots now or not, so let's try. Let's boot into an existing OS. Okay, that seems to work. Now into ArchLinux, Box login, root, and that has seemed to work. That's cool. But now the basic installation is done. So let's install the DHCP client with the system networked stuff. So first of all, let's do this and then also mount our dev SDA3 into mount, arc change root into mount. And now we can do Pacman again, hopefully. Then we can install This networked work daemon and system solved. That is target not found. System network. Let's see. We want to have the DIP and the daemon and the client. No operation, sorry. Like this. Okay, we have that installed now, so we should be able to boot again. So let's do that. Boot into existing ArchLinux. Then we can log in. And let's see. Okay. DHCP D. Where's the client installed? But that's not that important. Now we can at least enable it. So let's do that real quick. PC service, and we also want to start it, so we have a connection. Start. Let's check it. Status, and it is running. That's good. Then let's see. Now we have our connection. And then what we want to have is pacman sudo. Yes, we want to have that. That is okay. So our password is updated successfully. That's good. Now we want to have it in the sudoers file also. No editor found. Editor path is this. Hello. Why are you so slow? Yeah, my PC is really slow. Let's see. Editor equals nvim and then sudo. That seems better. Now let's see. Why is it so slow? Probably because I'm recording. Root is allowed for everything, and we also want to do the same for droplets. So Droplets. I'm sorry. Droplet is also allowed to do everything. Okay. So now we want to finally see something. So let's install i3 xorg dmenu also. For our lock screen. And let's first of all hello. Enter a selection. Now it's working for some reason. I don't know why it was so slow. So that did work well. Okay, bash is installed by default. So I want to change that later on. Or I want to change that now. Pacman. Low. SSH. Yes. And we want to also change it for droplet. RxVT Unicode. Yes, we want to install that. Okay. Want to have that also. We want to also have sessions. Okay. Then we want to add that to our session file. Then see if it works or not. Okay, it seems to work. Okay, then maybe as root. Okay, so we don't have a font installed. That's great. So let's install the basic tools we need for development. Then we also have git. No. We need that later on anyways, so let's install it. Then also okay. So let's go to Paro and also install it. Great, that's very readable. Okay, now it's working, hopefully. Yes, let's install it. So that concludes it for the setup. Now we have a working system with a terminal emulator where everything is looking nicely, which is the most important thing, I guess. And let's see if we have fetch installed. No, we don't have it installed. Also new fetch not, of course. But yeah. Now we have a starting point to continue with our programming, and probably we will adjust the setup of the system later on a little bit to for coding stuff. But I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.